All right, hey, good morning, everybody. How we doing? Or afternoon, or evening, or whatever it is. We are going to take a look at some of the cards I got from my pre-release. So I went to pre-release this last weekend. It was really, really fun. Had a good time. I didn't think I was going to like this set very much, but I actually really, really enjoyed it. I was able to make 2 decks out of my pre-release kit. So I was able to make a green and white deck. Had to do with some counters and warping some stuff in. A few cool things there. And then I made a blue and black deck, and we're just going to go over some of the notable cards real quick before we crack these packs. So, one of the cards, oh, let me hold it like this a little bit. You guys can see a little bit better. All right. So, Earthros Psionics, maybe? The second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. That's a very, very good card. Worked out really, really well to help get some creatures on the battlefield. I also really like this kill spell. Right? You have to sacrifice an artifact or a creature, destroy target creature or spacecraft. So that was a really good card that worked out. This Seam Ripped was really cool. When this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. So it's kind of like a porthole. Just easy to get rid of things. Honor was nice because you can put a 1/1 counter on a creature, especially in my green and white deck. And then I could also just draw a card. I did find a couple of legendary creatures. I did not use them in the deck, but they were interesting. Other artifacts you control enter, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, has flying. Now this spacecraft was pretty cool. This Dawn Sire, I was able to get it out one game, but I was unable to crew it because I didn't have enough, or station it, I guess, not crew it, but station it, because I just didn't have enough creatures. But it is pretty cool. I think this would be really cool with some sort of a Stuffy Doll effect or something like that. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it deals 100 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And it's a 20/20 flyer, so if this was your commander, you could probably knock some people out of the game. The Synthesizer Lab Ship was pretty cool. Had flying and vigilance. It wasn't that hard to turn on. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to one other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gains flying. 1v1 setting that worked pretty good. I did get Beyond the Quiet. I never had to use it, but I thought it was a cool card. It exiles everything. Okay, I also got this Daedra Synthesis Amalgam. Has trample. Enters with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of a mana spent to cast it. And whenever you attack, you may sacrifice remove a 1/1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colors robot artifact creature token. So, just interesting. I did get this really cool Paradox Haze. I actually have an old Paradox Haze. I just don't really have it in a deck, but I did like the art on this. I thought it was pretty cool. Looks like it's around $10, so it's kind of a cool card. Got this interesting land, this Secluded Starforge. Tap. X untapped artifacts you control. Target creature gets +X/+0 until the end of turn and activate only as a sorcery. So yeah, if I put this in an artifact deck, it might be kind of cool. I got one of the planets. I got the red planet, which probably is the least exciting planet. But you can sacrifice a land and create a 2/2 colorless robot. This was my promo card. This Lumen class Frigate. I don't know what it is called. But it did help me win a couple games. It has flying and lifelink. It was very easy to turn on. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. And then a great card to tell you what to do on your turn. Don't know why that's in here, but kind of funny. So that is that. So let's go ahead and get to cracking a pack and seeing if we can find any other legendary creatures. I'm going to pull the legendary creatures out that we have to brew around. And if for some reason we come up with something better, then we'll use that. Cool. All right, let's get into this first play booster, Edge of Eternities. So, all right, I'm just going to open this without too many problems here. Okay, if you haven't seen this set, I actually didn't think it was going to be that awesome, but turns out it was actually a pretty fun set. So you gain 2 life, create a lander token. Not a bad card. Lander tokens are great. They're basically Wayfarer's Baubles in a way. You sacrifice it and go get yourself a land. Slag Drill Scrapper, sacrifice another artifact or land and draw a card. There are a lot of artifacts in this set. Decode transmissions. You draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Void. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards. That's pretty easy to do, and each opponent loses 2 life. So that's actually good, especially if you're doing like a 1v1. Commander might be a little tough, but usually there are artifacts, especially if you're making Thopters or something like that in a deck. Pretty easy way. I'm not exactly sure why the camera's blinking. I apologize for that. I don't know if there's some sort of a short. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Not very interesting. Flying. When this creature enters, return up to 1 target permanent you control to its owner's hand. Unless you have entered the battlefield effects, probably not that interesting. Neutrino block. Sacrifice this artifact, gain 3 life. When this artifact is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Only costs 1. Zealous display. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until the end of turn, and if it's not your turn, untap those creatures. So that's kind of an interesting situation where you could use that. Maybe someone's going to attack you. You got a bunch of little guys, and you want to untap them all and block. And then that's pretty cool. Galactic Wayfarer. When this creature enters, create a lander token. Okay, we have Ruinous Rampage. Choose one. Ruinous Rampage deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile our artifacts with mana value 3 or less. I think this is really cool. All right, what do we got here? This creature can't be blocked if you cast 2 or more spells this turn. Not sure why I would use that. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Okay. So we've just got a little bit of a aristocrat style card that you can use here. When this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And you can warp it in. So that's kind of cool. So if you had a combo coming up and you don't have to pay the 3, you could just warp it in, sacrifice your artifacts or creatures. This would go really good in my Persist deck. I have a Persist Gev deck. And I use artifact creatures, and I'm able to sacrifice it, it comes back, sacrifice it, come back. So this is probably going to go in my Gev deck. Very cool card. All right, well, we got a spaceship. A spacecraft. Legendary artifact. The Sarima. When the Sarima enters, search your library for a legendary creature card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So you could blink this. It's got white. You can get some legendary creatures that you need. It's a great little tutor. And then other tap legendary creatures you control have indestructible. So pretty cool in a Legendary Matters deck. Yeah. Foil common. Our foil common is Focus Fire. It deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature, where X is 2 plus the number of creatures and or spacecrafts you control. So in a token stack or something where you have a lot of creatures, this actually could be very, very powerful. And then we got a Lande and a Lander token. In case you didn't know what a Lander token is, pay 2, sacrifice this token, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. I think it's a lot like Utopia Sprawl or something like that. All right, there's not a lot of legendary creatures in this set. That's why I bought 3 packs. So we're going to put this guy off to the side and see if it's something we want to build around. Do we want to do a mono-white blink deck? Legendary Matters? I don't particularly want to do that. So let's hopefully see if we can find something a little more interesting to build around. All right, Edge of Eternities, Pack 2. I don't know if I need to read all the cards. Some people go through packs and they go through the cards so fast I can't even see them. So I particularly am going to slow roll these bad boys. Ooh, I haven't had this one before. Grave Kill. That's cool art. Exile target creature or spacecraft. The Therium, unended and final. Antiphon 6. Not really sure what that means, but sure. Need a little spacecraft mechanic in your life? Or mechan? Not mechanic. Mechan. Self-craft mechan. I can't even read. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, put a 1/1 counter. And draw a card. Focus Fire. We already saw that card. Drix Fate Maker. Kind of cool. Each creature you control with 1/1 on it has trample, and you have warp. Very cool. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike. Destroy target artifact or tap creature. Not interested. Oh, there's something new. The Wedge Light Rammer. Artifact Spacecraft. When this one enters, create a 2/2 colors robot artifact creature token. It has flying and first strike for 9. And it is a 3/4. It's a lot of work to get a flying first strike 3/4. Mechan Assembler. When another artifact you control enters, create a 2/2 colors robot artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Invasive Maneuvers. Deals 3 damage to target creature. It deals 5 damage instead if you control a spacecraft. That's not bad. A burn spell. A Larval Scoutlander. This is an artifact spacecraft. 3/3. Pay 7, has flying, and when it enters, you may sacrifice a land or lander. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tap. That is actually really cool, especially in a Lands Matters decks, right? Get all those Scoot Swarm triggers. Oh, Starfield Vocalist. This is one of the cards that they said is actually pretty good. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control, to trigger that ability triggers an additional time. Okay, so like it's a panharmonic vocalist. Very cool. Warp it in for cheap. And then play the spell you want to play. Hopefully you can do some big things on one turn. I'm going to put that one off to the side. Okay, our next card is Metal Strider Gear. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. When this equipment enters, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and it has reach. So this might be a good option to put into Cloud just for 1 mana. You can drop it on the battlefield. It'll stick to Cloud. And he gets reach, which he has a hard time blocking flyers. So this would actually be really, really cool for that deck. Got this really awesome foil land and another lander token. So no legendary creatures, but a really good card that we can add to our deck if we decide to make some sort of a blink deck. All right, so let's just take a peek real quick at some of the interesting cards that we have got out of our packs so far. So if we were looking at making a spacecraft deck, which I think we should, right? It would only make sense. We have this Dawnsire. If we could get a Stuffy Doll effect, that would be really, really cool. We have Focus Fire. We have Beyond the Quiet. We have the Sarima. We have Seam Rip. I think Honor's a good card. We have Synthesizer Lab Ship, Luminum Class Frigideer, and then we have the Starfield Vocalist. So it looks like maybe if we could find some sort of a commander that's blue and white, obviously some sort of artifact deck, then we could use these spacecrafts and kind of make a cool deck out of it. So we haven't found anybody yet to be our commander, but we have found some cool cards that we can add to some sort of a spacecraft deck. All right, we got one more pack. Let's see what we got. All right, let's go ahead and open up this pack. I was starting to open it off camera for some reason. Not exactly sure why. I don't want you to think I'm cheating. All right. We got a dragon. When this creature enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. Pretty expensive dragon. Grave Pack. Monolith. When this creature dies, create a 2/2 colorless robot. Too bad it wasn't an artifact. Then you could sack this artifact and get another artifact. That would be pretty cool. Cryo Shatter. Enchant creature gets -5/-0. When it becomes tapped or is dealt damage, destroy it. All right. Pretty cool. Put that in our good pile. We got a Weft Blade Enhancer. When this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on up to 2 target creatures, and you can warp it for 3. I don't think I'm interested in that card right now. Shattered Wings. This Thumper thingy. Radiant Strike. Haste. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability. Ooh, that's a really good card. That is awesome. So you just warp it, pay 1 black, 2 life. That's really good for Aristocrat. That is awesome. I'm going to set that one off to the side. All right. Cut Propulsion. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Seam Rip. We already have one of those. Cerebral Download. Surveil X, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Then draw 3 cards for 4. Interesting. That could be pretty good. It's a little expensive, but you do get a Surveil X. I think we're going to put that in our maybe pile. And then we have Hard Light Containment. Enchant artifact you control. When this Aurora enters, exile target creature and opponent controls until the Aurora leaves the battlefield. Okay. Very nice. That will definitely go into our deck that we're thinking about. And then we have this Cryogenic Relic. When this artifact enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Not too bad. Sacrifice this artifact, put a stun counter up to 1 target tapped creature. That's interesting too. So no big hits, nothing crazy, but we did get some stuff that we can start building a deck around. Commander. And Mendicant Core Guidelight is probably one of my favorite artifact commanders, and so I think we can probably build something around this guy and add some spacecrafts, add some warp abilities. He is a robot, which is cool, so we can kind of do a robot theme. I had built a deck around him a while back, so we'll go ahead and start looking at what we can build. I don't know that I'm going to need to dig into my binders too hard for this one, just because I have a lot of these artifact cards already sleeved. So this is my old Mendicant Core Guidelight deck. Sorry, I bumped the microphone there. I tore it apart, kind of used some of the lands out of it to build that Hope deck. So let's go ahead and see if there's some things here that we want to use. Okay, we want to keep that one. Crystal Skull. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. Place the work lands. Got to keep that one. Card we may not be needing. Reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Put a card you own with silver counter. Yeah, we could just. I think I only kept this to make constructs or constructs. So that's a questionable card. Mirror's Battlesphere. This is an ETB effect, so put 4/1/1 colorless, so that's nice. So we can blink this one. So that's a yay pile. Boundary Inspector just helps our artifacts cost less. K9 makes things unblockable. This is has affinity for artifacts. It does have flying, which is nice, and then Cascade. So I think I'm going to put that in the probably pile. Destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X, whose controller was dealt damage by Still Hellkite this time. That could be in a maybe pile. We have some new spacecrafts. Manifold Key is nice, makes a creature unblockable. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of artifacts we control. That's fine. Riddlesmith is good. Psymaster Thopterist. Are we going to need Thopters? Maybe pile. Draw cards. Flying Vigilance. Spin spell only cast artifacts. That's fine. Awesome card. This creature gets +1/+0 for each artifact. I think that's fine. Master Ethereum's power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts. That's fine. We don't have a lot of ETB. Start your engines. You know, have maximum hand size. If you draw a card, draw 2 cards. I actually really like this card a lot, and it's pretty easy to get to max speed. Voyage Home. You draw a card and gain 3 life, affinity for artifacts. That's fine. Cost less. I got some more cards here. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. Okay, whenever you cast a historic spell, pay 1 life. If you do create a token that's a copy of the replicator. This will be really good for helping us crew our big ship. I think we're going to definitely have to get a Stuffy Doll to put in this deck. I don't own one, so I'm going to have to buy one. But if we could tutor for a Stuffy Doll or get some sort of a Stuffy Doll effect, give it indestructible. Maybe it already is indestructible. I'll have to look at the card. Make our creatures unblockable. I don't think we need this one. We're not surveilling. Thopter Assembly. Make a bunch of Thopters. Whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a 1, make more Thopters. Posture Mech. Oh, that's just an artifact land. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creature you control. Whenever one or more artifact creatures enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So that's an ETB effect, right? Whenever one or more artifact creatures entering the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This it only triggers once each turn. Boo. That's okay. Got a bird. This was just so I could surveil. Room Coil Engine. I don't know if in this deck we're going to need Room Coil Engine. I don't have a way to sacrifice it. It does have Death Touch and Lifelink, but it is 6. So we might trade one of our spacecrafts for that. This is a nice one, though. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts we control, and it has flying. Everything is an artifact. Reality Chip is good. Get stuff out of a graveyard is good. Just a little 1-drop helps to turn on our commander. Ginger Root helps to turn on our commander. Let me hold these a little straighter. Sorry about that. There we go. Other artifact creatures you control have flying. That's pretty nice. That's basically a win con on its own. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, create a 1/1 colors mirror artifact creature token. Another 1-drop artifact. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. Return an artifact you control to its owner's hand. Put an card from your hand on the battlefield. Oh, that lets us put an artifact card. That's pretty cool. We could return something little and put in one of our big guys. I don't know if we're going to need the blink stuff. It looks like we have a lot of really good things in this deck that I don't think we're going to need to add the blink, because it just seems like it's going to take up card slots. So basically we could just add the spacecrafts to this. I'll go ahead and go on a Scryfall. I'll put the deck together and we'll take a look at it here in a little bit and see if we can come up with something. Okay, let's talk about this deck a little bit. So let's look at Mendicant Core Guidelight. So the goal of this deck is to double up artifacts, get double artifact triggers, make lots of big stuff, and smash people. Now the good thing is our commander is going to get bigger. He's going to get +1/+0 until for each artifact we have into play. So our goal is to get a little 1-drop out that we can attack with or set up K9. On turn 1, turn 2, we get Mendicant Core out. Then we hit somebody, we could get him up to speed a little bit. So he can go enter the battlefield, he'll get speed 1. We hit him with something that gets speed 2 by turn 2. Hopefully play a Mana Rock. So we have all these little 1-drop artifact birds that we can attack with. We have lots of nice little artifact creatures that help curve the cost of artifacts. And then the only creatures we added to this deck, that when I was kind of messing around with this deck before, is we did add our spacecrafts. So our Transition Mage will help us tutor for some of our bigger spaceships, or spacecrafts, I should say. It'll also help us get this Illusionist Wanderglyph, which is an amazing card. Other artifacts you control get +2/+2, as long as you have the City's Blessing, and that's pretty easy to do. And at the beginning of each upkeep, I get to create a 1/1 colors gnome. So if we end up making a copy of this, we get 2 when we make 2 gnomes. Now, this Stuffy Doll right here, this is kind of our secret win con, or secret combination with that and our new spacecraft. So let's look down and find our other spacecraft here. All right, so this Dawn Star right here, right? Whenever you attack, Dawn Star deals 100 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. So our goal is to get a Stuffy Doll out, kind of a fun little trick, and then we can use Dawn Star's ability, hit Stuffy Doll, and then kill a player. I was just double checking to make sure it didn't hit all players. It says when damage is dealt to Stuffy Doll, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So we can't kill everybody in one swoop, but we can knock out a couple people, one at a time. So anyways, this is a pretty typical artifact build. The only thing we're adding is some of these space crafts that we saw that we pulled earlier. And then the Serima, when this one enters the battlefield, we can just go grab a legendary. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of graveyard recursion, not a lot of anything, just kind of a basic kind of turn them sideways and whack them deck. Got some artifact lands in here, some things like that. So the land base is just whatever I guess you'd want to put in. So there it is. That is our deck that we came up with. We opened up a pre-release kit and an additional 3 boosters box, or not 3 boosters, 3 set booster packs, or what do they call them now? Play boosters, whatever. We opened up 3 more packs. I really feel like this set was kind of fun, but it was very underpowered as far as like big hits. They did have some really cool lands that you could get from their land sheet, but I think most of that's probably in collector boosters, and I'm not much one for buying collector boosters. But overall, it was a fun set. We got to add a couple cards to our list, and they're already spoiling Spider-Man. So maybe in the next little podcast or whatever, we'll talk about Spider-Man. We'll talk about how fast sets come out and how quickly they just want us to buy the next one. And that's kind of why I'm trying to slow down a little bit. I am going to do pre-releases for the ones that I want to, especially because I have family members that enjoy that. And so we get together and we do the pre-release. But as far as opening packs and stuff, I'm probably just going to be opening packs on this channel just for fun. I might go back in time and we might get some Modern Horizons 3 packs, or we might get some older packs. We'll open them up on the channel and then just see if there's anything fun that we can build out of it. All right, guys. So anyways, thanks for taking the time to check out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we weren't able to build a brand new commander out of the legendary creatures that we found, but I do think that maybe adding a few more flyers and the spacecrafts to this deck, I think it's cool, man. And then that stuffy doll, I think that'll be a fun thing to pull off. If I can get out that thing, crew it, attack, hit stuffy doll, and kill a player, that's a good night for me right there, playing commander. So once again, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.